Welcome back, everybody, to round 3 of the Valhalla Seattle 2024 tournament. Our first tournament on the West Coast for the NAOL, our first tournament in Seattle. Big shout out one more time to our hosts here, the Zulu Board Game Cafe. They were great hosts. They've got an amazing facility downstairs for a play area, great staff, really friendly, and they have a fantastic kind of a restaurant slash board gaming location just up the street to the left. Great food. Really felt like you were just playing games in a pub straight out of Lord of the Rings. So shout out to our host. Special thanks to Larry Van Etten and Doug Taylor for really pushing us to do a Seattle event that went off so well. I mean, almost 30 players for a first time area is great. We're super psyched. Very happy to have you with us again, Dave McMillan, one of my good friends and co-founder of Lazarus Rising Games.
Hey, everybody. Excited for this round 3. And just what a great tournament we've had. So just fantastic.
Yeah. So, Dave, who do we got in this round? What do we got going on here?
All right. We got Phil Miller, the Strangler himself. He's a 3-time winner of Valhalla. He took home the axe once he won the third one. We have a new axe, and we'll see if Phil notches another victory this tournament, or does the King or Tyler or someone else take him down. Across from Phil, we do have Tyler Bertrand of the Bertrand Dynasty. Just a fantastic player and tactician. Went to the finals last tournament versus the King, took the King to the limit. What a great match that was.
That was a
And we're going to get a
fantastic
treat
match.
of a unique matchup here. I'm seeing some glare on Phil on the left. Well, who does he have there? Heroes for Hire?
Yeah, so he's playing Heroes for Hire. He's got the Iron Fist 11 placed. He also got his 11 for Juggernaut, a 7 for Juggernaut, a negate, another 7. You know, Ty's got a good hand and a good deck, but it requires sometimes a tiny bit of setup. The only thing really going for Ty is that Phil did dupe on one of his 7s, and he's completely placed out. So Ty has placed an 8 multi on Scarlet Witch. He's going to place a 5. He's got an opponent discard a placed card, which is probably going to just target an 11 but get his negate. Ty gets down 7 placed cards, so he keeps one in hand. He's evenly placed with Phil. Phil goes 1, Ty goes 2. So
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Phil Miller just concede here. Usually he doesn't like to fight these battles.
Yeah.
He likes to place out and get to where he's going. So
What grunge card is that?
that is a void and attack with an intellect icon.
Okay.
Grunge may draw a card. So if you remember from the last tournament, or if you're just jumping in, Ty is one of our best kind of mechanic innovators, and he's made a deck where everything happening in the deck is to shift the cards over to Grunge. Grunge's inherent is that he can only be KO'd with a multi-power card. Oh, but he got
Oh,
3 dupes: a duplicate negate, a duplicate rescue operation, and a 5.
oh,
And then,
wow. Did you see that?
yep, Phil is playing the discard all placed universe card event off Fatal Attractions, which most people don't play. And it stripped Ty of his entire Spartan training ground on hand 2. That is very painful.
Now, again, with how much more healthy the meta is becoming, it's great to see an event like that see play. I've toyed around with the idea of using that stacked with the any teamwork clear. I've never had the gumption, if you will, to do it, but the Strangler, he'll strangle you if he gets a chance, and he does some big damage to Ty's home base strategy with that event.
And it's funny, so a lot of people are winning using Dracula's Armory right now. It's really big in the meta, but a lot of us are also playing Spartan Training Ground, both of which start the game with 3 placed universe cards. So the value of these cards have gone up, and I love seeing Phil has innovated and taken it a step further. Everyone's using Juggernaut. Like I said, I think we saw Juggernaut on almost 30% of the decks this time. And Phil took it the next step and combined it with a universe card.
Now, one thing
There,
that's interesting to note is that I think Phil has the ability or this because he's playing Event Horizon as for everybody at home that's not aware of this promo card. It just was released last tournament. This is the first tournament it was legal in. It allows you to, anytime you duplicate of an event outside of the battle, you get to redraw. And so that's really allowed him, I believe, playing perhaps 4 or 5 events. And I think that's a cool innovation that he's bringing to the table this tournament.
Absolutely. We're seeing some firing back and forth, but we sort of saw what we expected. Even with a few dupes, Ty fired out that chain. He tried to get rid of an 11 with a discard placed, and then that was negated. It looks like what Ty is doing is he's offensively trying to make somebody immune to events, or is that something different?
No, I think that lethal tester. He's trying to lethal test something, but it looks like Phil's gonna. Wait,
I see. So he's probably trying to get the 11 to be thrown so he could avoid it. He probably had
yeah,
a defense for it,
and
which
I
is a
guess
great card. I know you used to play that a lot off the Citadel.
yeah, I did when I was playing my Colossus Dracula deck. I would use it to throw into avoid and draws. It looks like that card must be targeted. I forget. So he was able to use acrobatics to dodge it. Um, Phil fires back with a 3 strength onto Scarlet Witch, who already has the 7 fighting, and Tyler takes it. They're slugging it out.
Yeah, which Ty is, I'm a little surprised here. It's not usually the type of deck he wants to be slugging it out, but he's really seems dedicated to trying to get this two venture, which I don't know. I don't know if he needs to. Phil conceded, so he's got one in the bottom. I think maybe getting rid of that negate, he should have just run and not let Scarlet Witch get painted. But
Well, he might just
and
be relying on that Scarlet Witch warding, knowing that it's it's such a strange thing. I've never been good at this because I'm afraid of losing characters like a Scarlet Witch. But if you're a Scarlet Witch user, it's almost a game of chicken. You don't want to lose her, but you're almost daring the person to do it because you get that 5 venture and it swings that battle. So I'm not use I don't use Scarlet Witch often. I don't think I've used her for 8 years in a tournament. So any Scarlet Witch users out there, I wish there was a chat you could advise. Is this the way you play? I don't know. Looks like we have the 4 multi make additional from the battle site. We don't know who that's coming from yet. He defends with the 5 multi, and it looks like it's coming from Juggernaut. It's the
so he's
11.
gonna he's gonna try to put the cumulative KO on there. That's for the kill.
Now, interestingly, on which for the kill, there is no venture value for that if it hit. But
So
he's willing to get rid of the negator here to do, and it looks like he's gonna.
he's gonna get the shift in play. So
Oh,
this is where everything starts to turn around here. So now, for those that don't know, that card on Grunge's record or place to Grunge says any hit on Grunge's record he can copy. So that card that was dead a second ago because of that shift he did from Scarlet Witch, now all the attacks go to Grunge. Scarlet Witch is warded against any targeted attacks unless that card ends up getting negated. And it just made that card on Grunge something that can count for 11 venture against the site or can put a ton of KO pressure on a character. So that's why this deck Ty's got is so fun and so interesting.
so he throws the 6 energy from Grunge onto Beast of Brute, and we'll see. That would be 2 colors and 10 points of cumulative damage on Beast if the Strangler were to take that hit. I don't think he will.
And that's another interesting thing that if you watch Ty's play, this is stuff I want to talk about that new players might not see. So you might be wondering, well, why did Ty throw the first card of the teamwork attack at Juggernaut? Why wouldn't he just keep targeting the guy that already has a hit? Well, Beast has a 7, and he knows that he's going to be able to use that 7 to block the first part of the teamwork. So he's thinking to himself, most likely, well, why don't I go at Juggernaut? If the teamwork hits, I can throw my follow ups at Juggernaut and continue to hit. But what he was able to do there is throw the 6 as an 8 to take the 7 out of the equation. So as soon as the teamwork was blocked, he's saying to himself, well, I'm going to throw the 6 over here as an 8. He has to defend it with a big card in hand, which he's probably not going to want to do because he knows that my special can come across as an 11. So there's a lot of figuring when you're trying to figure these plays out 4 or 5 moves ahead of time.
See, that's a super interesting choice of target. Phil decided to throw that towards Mephisto rather than Grunge. I personally would have put it on Grunge, even though it got negated anyway, but just to move towards Dead is Dead.
I
But
agree.
I understand why that's a choice in your head. It looks like what Tyler won that one.
Yeah, no, Phil won it, but I think Ty's in a decent position. I don't know. It's tough where Phil had the 7 strength follow up.
Ooh,
What is that card?
that's no attacks with a strength icon can be played stacked on top of.
No
Shot.
cards with an energy icon may be played. This is going to be an interesting hand. I don't believe you discard any of the cards. So these
No.
guys might end up with a whole mitt full of cards they can't play. That's so funny seeing those both on the same turn.
Oh, what a great play. I mean, just those two decks clicking those events together at the same time. That's super interesting. So Phil places
The
a
5.
teamwork that can't be played, a 5 that can't be played. We have any teamwork. Okay, that could be alive if the follow-up's alive.
We've got the 9 any power on Mephisto, which is a great pull right now for Ty. He wishes he had one more point of cumulative on Beast, but being able to get 9 venture out with both of those events is a huge card right now.
Phil,
Ty's got a low power card now that he can play. Phil's got a low power card. Phil can play his teamwork now from reserve with that low follow up.
now the teamwork from reserve has strength on it, so that's
Oh,
locked.
you're right. Yep. So
So
that's
all
locked
he
up.
can play the any teamwork, the 5 fighting, the 2 intellect. Phil just bets 1. Now, I don't think that's because Phil necessarily won't fight here, but he's reasonably understanding that he doesn't have a lot of venture locked up.
I
Ty
think
is showing 16 venture, 19 venture. So, and a 9 or less in the I just lay up.
so. I think this is a good example too. Sometimes of where you gotta like decide. There's like
Ooh,
gamesmanship to it. Like he looks at Phil and he says, "I don't see any big cards you can play. I have a 9 and a 7 any power on that I can play and a 3, and I've got my 9 or less avoid if you manage to sneak through a big hit." Um,
so Ty bet 3. I believe Phil quickly drew it. It must have been a keeper. And Phil leads out with his teamwork string. So Phil's going to put the pressure on.
so he goes with the 5. Mephisto blocks with the 7 any power. Interesting. I mean, he gives up 1 point of venture, but he keeps that pressure off for the KO, which I think is vital.
No, but oh, the 9 or less there. Interesting.
Blocks on the 5. So he's just keeping Mephisto clean.
Yeah.
And I don't hate that.
Now, does Phil throw that 2 at a 3 for the third part of the follow up and try to paint
No,
Mephisto?
because he's got the avoid with an intellect icon, so he definitely wouldn't throw it at Grunge. He doesn't want to give him
No,
that
no, no,
guard.
no, no, not at Grunge. I'm saying at Mephisto.
Yeah. Um, I feel
But
like I would have probably thrown it, but maybe Phil's thinking he's just gonna run here and he wants to keep the full string off Sable.
and also, I guess you have the 2 is one of your potentially unique actions. You're only running 2, or
Yeah.
even if you're just running 2, still the odds are you'd like to keep that place.
And this is also sometimes high level play. We can see now in Phil's hand, Phil's got 3 activators and he can't attack with any of them. So he
Yeah.
might want to save that too to do things where he can pace it out. We just saw him spend a turn offensively using the Sentinels to get rid of one of the hits.
I think he defensively played it and then just
Right. Okay. That is what he did. Yep.
and so look, I guess you kept the 2 placed. That keeps him at 1, 2, 3, 4 cards placed to 1,
2.
2. So hey, that's why he's a strangler. Let me give Phil his flowers. Phil has taken me to the woodshed one too many times for me to question his wisdom.
And I think the thing I always know, all players have things they're great at. I would say Phil Keffer mentally like just always knows exactly what the card count is very meticulous about always doing the venture math. He's not really like taking a lot of uncalculated swings with cards just to see if he like gets a big effect. I'd say what Phil Miller really brings to the table is I'd say he's the best at placing cards of anyone I've ever met. He's just always seems to have one extra placed card. He's very good at judging what he can bet based on if he's going to use just cards in his hand or if he's going to have to use placed cards. And I feel like he's one of those people who I constantly find myself down a card or down 2 cards, or I had a good battle that I won, but I had to use 3 place cards and he used all cards from hand. And then he's always going into these next battles with more. I would say placing cards is the thing that I really try to pay attention to in my games with him and emulate as much as I can. All right, so we did get a lot of placed cards here. So we've got, Phil's got a white tiger, 6 discard 2. Juggernaut's got a 7 strength, a 7 fighting. So Phil just reloads here. Phil gets as much as he can placed. Ty manages to keep up with him though, and Phil just bets 1 and runs and gives Ty positioning to bet for the win pretty quickly here. Ty's gonna get a dupe 8. Phil's gonna get a dupe 9 or less avoid.
He has to save the world. So that's the event. If I draw, you draw, or you discard, I discard. That's going to be, I think, helpful with that Scarlet Witch spell of destruction.
And he can now focus on trying to KO Grunge with those intellect cards and make him use the avoid on a turn where he'll also get to make the draw if he defends with it.
That's a great point.
Yeah. I think that's what that event right now. And this goes back to, again, the new promo that we put in, the home base event Horizon. His ability is any events that he draws before the venture phase, he gets the redraw for him.
So
not if he draws them during the hand. The what?
Before the battle. So even if you redraw, even if I give you 4.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime before the battle. So if somebody overbets. So Phil, I think, is playing around 5 events in this deck. So he's getting good event effects constantly. That promo is it. What was that, Dave?
I'm sorry. Tyler played the opponent discard Scarlet Witch. And I'm wondering if he's aware that he's gonna have to discard in kind or not. Oh, and he does. He discards the 3 fighting, it looks like. Oh, well, maybe Phil's figuring out if he's going to defend. But that's an interesting play by Tyler. With the opponent discard, it must be high enough in value that he's willing to trade. Maybe it's the 9 for the 3.
Yeah, I mean, if he can throw it, imagine like if he attacked right now with that 9, you'd block it with that 3 if you could, right?
Right, that's true. But you're using the extra card, so I guess the challenge is Tyler's at game point. He did decide to go for the win. So
Tyler's gonna play Danger Seeker. That says all attacks must be made against Grunge at -2. So he must have a way to defend this where that matters, or he took the 9 and put it in play offensively, which is what
I
he
think
did.
he took it, yeah.
All right, so Phil's gonna start to come in. So Ty can avoid that, but he's gonna opt to avoid the 2. He's gonna take the draw. Phil's gonna take the draw. It looks like they are both keepers.
Yeah. We have a very interesting hand going on here with these.
I was confused for a second, but then I just remembered. I was like, "Wait, isn't Grunge dead? No, he has to get another power type to get Dead is Dead, or he needs to get a multi-power power card hit." So
now Tyler just threw from the battle site Sentinel's mutant countermeasures. That's target character can't play specials for the rest of the battle, and you threw that at Heroes for Hire, which would get that 5. And if you're peeking at Phil's hand at the bottom, he definitely has, I believe, a 3 JW.
And he has a 6 white tiger placed to the home base.
Ooh,
so that's gonna we'll get 3 of his cards for this battle.
14 venture.
And Ty's going for the win here. If that hits, I feel like Phil. This is the beauty because we're getting into the matches. I don't know how they end. I feel like if that gets through, Phil is going to be in a rough spot.
It looks like it did because he's playing a Sentinel's activator. There were 7 intellect on Grunge for the kill.
For the kill.
I believe it's for the kill. Does he have 3 colors?
Yeah, that would be fighting strength, and intelligence.
Dead is Dead.
Now, Ty only needs a 5 to defend him, but Ty's also going for the win here. So Ty might be asking himself, like, well, I've pinned those 2 specials. I've got a card that's probably he does it. He lets him go. So now Ty's just got to start doing some math here and trying to see if he can get this venture win. So if I'm Ty, I think I'm throwing that little 2 intelligence at this point and just seeing if I can knock off the beast.
Yeah, at the very least, maybe exact some pain. Even if you don't get the venture win here, you even up the score. So you trade
a character, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think it's just about like Phil's got to use up all his cards too.
So I think
Phil uses
A 4 strength.
4 strength. Yep.
Yeah, Phil's just in a tough position here. He might pull it out, but losing, not being able to defend that mutant countermeasures. Oof. That's 3 actions, a number of colors, and a lot of venture.
Ugh, but he just has so much heat though too. It's just like even with those 3 cards down, it's just now he's got the 5. He's gonna follow with another 7, and it's like he's already got a 7, a 6, and a 9 for venture. So he's starting to put this venture outside of. I think this is where Ty has to start thinking about the game and saying, I'm not winning on venture. I've got to use this hand to keep my guys alive and then kill 1, maybe 2 of his guys.
No, so the only reason, so right now, Phil's up 15, wow, 22. Yeah, you're right. This is going to be a tough one to come back.
I think this is attrition. Ty's got a lot of missions. He's got a lot of times he can run. He's just got to put the beat down on Phil's characters.
Now, for anybody watching, that is the 6th strength for Scarlet Witch, but he's using the misprint, which I don't know what the ruling is on, using the misprint.
It's strength.
Yeah. So
It's strength, and it's considered to have a strength icon. It's a full misprint.
So Phil defends that, it looks like, with what, 6 fighting? Phil's thinking, and he's going to fire that 7 strength at Mephisto.
Now, Phil has, I think, just the 1 card in hand. We know it's a JW, but Ty doesn't know. Ty's got 3 cards in hand, and he's got that 9 placed. So he lets the 7 hit, it looks like. He's going to throw the 4. I think that's going to take out Beast.
Yeah, I mean, I think Phil is forced to, at this point, keep that 9 or less because he has to win here. Even if he could have defended that and Tyler doesn't have them.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler's got enough cards. Oh.
One good turn deserves another. So we've got, what is the name of that card?
It's like Mutant
Gestalt.
Testing something. I forget. That is the same card as the Sentinels card. If it hits Mephisto, Mephisto may not play any specials. Now, Phil could have put that out earlier and tried to take away like some defense, but kind of saving it till the end like this is really brutal because it just locks down that 9. And it took the 3 draw 2 out. Oh. So
Wow.
Ty had the perfect plan. He was going to just hit with the 3. He was probably going to throw the 9, get the avoid to be used, throw the 3, draw 2 more cards, and put Phil at a position where he was going to have to give up Heroes for Hire most likely to win that venture. And he was locked in because it was for battle. That Onslaught card played right at that moment was such a clutch play.
I think Ty could have thrown that 3 at the step earlier. He might have gotten just a tad bit too particular about his timing when he could have just taken that stab and see whether he got it or not.
So Phil gets another one of his missions. He's playing the Hideout Discovered. Discard all placed universe cards. No teamworks. No teamworks may be played. No one had any placed, but then he did also dupe out on his White Tiger. So
yeah.
Phil places an 8 on the Heroes for Hire. We see a 6 energy teamwork go to Mephisto. Phil has got Raise in his hand, which isn't the best for him right now, unless Ty ends up placing multiple teamwork cards. Phil puts out a level 1 power card. Ty responds with an 8, so Ty's outpacing him. There's the Raise. And Ty's already, remember too, Ty's deck's played as well as it has, getting that event early on that got rid of his Spartan training ground. He spent 2 deck building points pretty much for nothing. He didn't get to play a single one. Ty does get his negate out, though. That's placed.
Now, I wonder how much losing Grunge will affect the overall strategy here. I know that Grunge is the primary for this kind of... He has a lot of ways to win, but one of the victory conditions of Onslaught Citadel, as we all know, is tucking venture. So it'll be interesting to see whether Tyler's exhausted too many of his avenues to victory to close this one out. Or is this attrition now and the tide has turned? So Phil does Raise on the teamwork, which I think
that's great.
It must be like punting a turn and also getting 1 card out that you need to get out of in the future.
Well, you also have the option of he may have allies in hand. Like Phil has one card that he knows at minimum he's going to get a card for a card, but he's gambling that maybe he has one or two allies in hand. I guess he would get to choose if he only had one, but maybe he kept two. You know, you might as well take a stab at it if you don't have a really solid other play. So Ty played. This is Ty and I talk a lot. We love this card. It's a 4 intellect from Mephisto. If it hits, it fully heals Mephisto. All the hits come off him. Current battle hits still count to venture. Phil fires with the 5. Ty's going to make Spider Woman the sacrificial lamb and play a card that shifts all hits attacks made on Mephisto gets shifted to Spider Woman. So he's going to try to just sacrifice Spider Woman at this point to keep Mephisto alive. Ugh, that hurts. He threw the 3 hoping he'd draw the 8 from Heroes for Hire. Phil had a 3 strength to block it with.
Yeah.
Phil's going to poke with his little power card on Scarlet Witch. It's enough to kill her. Does Ty have something to block that annoying little hit?
Oh my goodness. He has to, I hope. All right.
He's going to put, I'm guessing, only universe cards and try to make a little bit of a barrier here. So
But
Ty's
what
got
a,
some good protection here right now. This is, you know, I
but
think he's going to need.
a good get by Phil to get out in acrobatics for a 1 intellect. You got to love that trade.
And Ty put himself in a really interesting position where Phil's White Tiger is just a 6. It doesn't actually get any cards because he doesn't have any cards in hand.
Yeah.
Now, this is an uncomfortable situation for him because if Phil plays this right, he can kill Spider-Woman with the 8, right? Oh no, is that only 19? Oh, he can't. I was thinking he could kill her and then throw the 6 at Mephisto, but no. Ty's been pretty comfortable right now. Phil has to decide if he wants to let Sable die, which it looks like he's going to opt to. And I think Phil's going to sacrifice Sable just to take this venture down. Oh, does Phil have a card in hand? Yeah, so Phil must have an activator in hand. Looks like maybe he has a Beyonder because he's searching through his whole battle site.
This is an interesting play here.
Yeah.
Now, Tyler didn't bet for the win here, correct?
I don't believe so. I think he just went 2. So Phil throws the 8. Ty fires back. He does what he thinks he's going to do. He gets rid of Silver Sable. He gets rid of those teammate avoids from now on. And then I think we're going to see Phil fire something out here at Spider-Woman for the win. So this also puts Ty in a really tough place because, okay, so now he's fine. He can choose to negate whatever is thrown here. So it's a 4, which I believe would be for the kill.
Cumulative, yes.
I think if I'm Ty, I'm thinking in my head, I've seen every single one of my teammate avoids. I don't need a venture sync.
Right. All right. So
Interesting.
the Strangler's down to his 2 8 rankers tag teaming it. We have Heroes for Hire, led by the Hulk and Juggernaut, versus 3 heroes across the board. But I think he's gotten himself to 4-3-0. Is that what I'm seeing?
I'm not sure. I lost a little. There we go.
So I think we have 4-3-0 to 4-1-2. So both players are in a good position still to go for the win if needed. And we'll see what they draw.
It doesn't look like 3 in that stack to me, but we'll see. It might be at 2. So Phil getting another one of his 5 events.
Best laid plans.
So Phil gets some unusables he's got to drop. He's got a Stars and Garters for Beast and a negate. That's going to make Ty feel good that the attrition is actually hurting him. Ty,
Yeah.
unfortunately, has that grunge card abandoned in the back there that's going to clog up a vital placing slot. So Ty's guys are real beat up. Phil's got both of his 8 guys unbeat up, but we've also seen pretty much all of Juggernaut's cards go by. If Phil's playing the 8 discard a placed card, I think that's the only Juggernaut special we haven't seen. So I think Ty's got to be on a mission to just get rid of Heroes for Hire as fast as possible, and then that'll take the teamworks out of the equation for Phil. There's that 8 we were talking about that we hadn't seen yet.
One thing to watch out for here is Phil does have that white tiger placed to the home base, and if he throws that at Spider Woman, we've talked about this in our podcast. Spider Woman only has 1 power card that he has no trainings, so it's really down to the site or a power card to stop that, or the negate. But I think he used that one last time. This is we'll see
Yeah.
whether Phil fires that, but Phil could maybe get that full value out of the white tiger and
That's
swing.
why I was saying last time. I know Ty wants to save an extra hit off Mephisto. I think I would have let Spider Woman die with the 4 and forced him to throw the 6 to try to get rid of the negate, or I would have still held on to the negate. I would have tried to keep parity with that white tiger the entire time, even if it meant I had a little bit more vulnerable of a Mephisto. Because I think
Right.
that you're exactly right. It puts him in such an awkward place where he has to be able to
Yeah.
defend it. Phil is going to go 4 for the win. He had 4 in the middle. Ty's going to draw
Now
2.
they're going to be keepers because of best laid plans. So Phil must be very confident.
Yeah, because he knows what's on the top of that deck, and he's still giving it to him.
Now, this is an interesting play. I don't know if I agree with. He throws the 4 energy for the kill against Spider Woman.
Maybe he's testing the water the same way we said. Maybe he's going to see if he will block it accidentally with a 6 not thinking, and then he can throw that white tiger for like the money ball play of just mathematically it's probably
Yeah,
going to go through. But
I
no,
built a lockout here. Now just the avoid, and
he's
then the
throwing the big 8 for the venture.
how many cards does Tyler have in hand? Looks like he
I don't
has.
think he discarded any, so I think he's got 7 still. And Phil had 2 unusables. It was also crazy. Well, and Ty drew 2, and neither one of them were dupes. So Phil must feel pretty confident with what he's doing. Maybe he's drawn into a lockout somehow here that we're not
Oh
seeing.
no, this is what I think, or this is one way to approach it. The bet 4 doesn't need to actually win him the 4. He needs to kill all 3 guys. And they're
Or
very
yeah,
fair.
maybe he might just be going for attrition here. You're absolutely right. Because it only looks like he has 1 in hand. And again, that's the kind of lines that these guys see where Phil is playing Onslaught Citadel. He is absolutely playing a strategy of winning the venture with that battle site, but he's just, if you've got a bully, there's no better bully in the game but Heroes for Hire. They're hard to defend. So I think we're still waiting on Ty. I think Ty can block this 8, but I think he's going to leave himself vulnerable to the 6. And I think that's exactly where the position we're in is he's trying to decide, do I let Spider Woman die, or do I try to defend her and leave that slot open? And he's also going to be worried about a 1-2 punch. Like he could maybe fire back at teamwork, but does that take away his ability to defend Mephisto and leave him with just a Scarlet Witch?
Unfortunately, I can't see Ty's hand too well. He's shuffling a lot, but he might not have the power cards to fuel these 3 teams. So this is one of these challenging situations. Again, how some of the top players are so fascinating to me. Phil might have just figured out that he doesn't have the power for those, and that's why he made the bet. Um, some people are very good at counting other people's cards in their deck, how many things they've seen, but I'm not sure that Ty. We'll see if he fires a teamwork here. But I think
In that one thing I'd like to say too, there was a lot of kind of players who aren't players that we see at our tournament circuit who were, I'd say, like annoyed about the tournament ruling that you can't look at discard piles of your opponent.
yeah,
And this is the perfect example of why, if Phil could just look in his power card stack here, he could literally just do the math and know exactly what to throw. You're not making any decisions as a player the way that this game works. If he can look through and he goes, oh, I see 3 8s, 3 7s, 3 6s, you're not going to be able to fuel these. You have 9 cards left in your deck, and I've seen all your power cards except 2, I can just math out that one's dead. So we do, as a skill for the player, it's a rule that is very different than other games, but it's a very different game. There's a wagering element, so being able to look at the cards there would have been, it just takes a lot of the skill out of the game. So Ty's been trying to fire off with these threes all game. He has yet to be able to get one through.
So one thing I think is interesting is I keep fire the and when I played Havoc or Mephisto, I tend to actually go for the battle site to try to make this more difficult. So it
I
looks
was
like
gonna say I definitely would have thrown the 3 at the battle site there, but Ty, I think, ended up being right. Like, he was looking at the math of the hand.
yeah.
He was able to follow up that teamwork and win the venture, and now all of a sudden he's in a very good place again. He also has played. It looks like he played. Mephisto may play any Scarlet Witch specials.
Yeah. I think interestingly enough there, I'd have to replay this in my head. I think Phil could have traded some damage earlier for his team to put more of the KO pressure onto Mephisto. The flow of that. I'd have to rewatch it, I guess. But we're down to
I'm
two
just
on
really
two.
impressed. I'm so impressed with how well Ty's deck has run, considering he lost Grunge at such an early hand. I was really nervous that the deck would just fall apart if, like, the one. Sometimes that's a problem with really kind of creative, gimmicky, stylized decks. But so we're gonna see Ty drop a 6 and a 7. That's a bummer to see when you don't
Yeah.
want to be duping on cards this late. You just want to be discarding your unusables. And it looks like he must have used a beast card with Beyonder, so he didn't have a card under there for beast either. So
Now
Ty's
his
gonna probably look to place out here and run with a low bet and fight the next battle.
yeah, and I think if you look at Tyler in terms of his battle site, with the way the Scarlet Witch and Mephisto are painted, he's not really going to be able to pull off any venture sinks now because there's just no space for any damage. They can't take anything. So
And in fact, the thing he's got to really watch out for is Phil's not in his power pack yet, I don't believe,
yeah.
and we haven't seen gathering info. So those 14 points of damage on Mephisto, they're at this point in the game, even though that card's targeted, they're probably going to be 14 points. And I think that's what I would be worried about with. I don't think I'd be considering a bet 3 here. I think I'd be betting 1, either running or poking and trying to put that pressure on Juggernaut. We've seen his lockouts. He's not going to be able to get it. I want to go into that last hand with 2 characters that spectrum way better than Heroes for Hire, and try to get pressure down to that one guy. But
Now
Ty's really thinking about what he wants to do here. He might try to go for the win here.
now look, we are coming up on 3 minutes in this match. So there's also the challenge. Phil, I believe, is at 304 or something like that. Ty is going to bet for the win. I think there would be some possible consideration in my mind if I was Tyler betting 1 and running and just trying to stave off the elimination here.
But he
But
also he did get he did get a dupe on him, so it didn't give Phil any advantage. And Ty does start with the serve, so he's gonna fire right out with the teamwork. Phil blocks with a 6.
this is
I
going to be
agree.
9. Is that for the kill? Oh, no, it's not. Oh,
Yeah, it
wait.
is. No, it's
Oh,
not.
no, it's 19.
He's coming back. He's bringing the power card, and the Juggernaut is still alive. Now that is for
It's
the
not the
kill.
Juggernaut.
Nothing stops the Juggernaut. He's got the 6 to defend it. The follow up, not for the kill, is a 4. Ty seems to be thinking, I think you fire that off at the battle site. He's still going to go for the character.
Now, he has the power card anyway. I guess it doesn't matter. At this point, you're just trying to dump your Mephisto actions before that happens. The inevitable he gets KO'd. But I'd
So he is
prefer
now taking,
battle
this is
site.
so interesting. He's taken 6 damage. He has a kill. He's up by 1. There's a kill shot. Remember, if Scarlet Witch dies and that 5 puts Ty in the lead, he wins the game. KO is counted, but Venture's counted before KO. So Ty is now up 5 points. So that means
Now, my question would be, does Phil have the JW? No. If he
It
just had a
almost doesn't matter
JW,
if he does. Doesn't he need a 10? He would have to kill Scarlet Witch with a 10 to tie here. Because he needs 5 venture, and he needs to negate the 5 he's going to get if he kills Scarlet Witch. He basically needs to hit with a 6 and not kill her.
but it's
6
a
or higher.
strength deck, so he could have just that.
He could just have a vanilla. We saw a 7 go by. We saw a 6 go by already. We haven't seen an 8 yet.
Oh wait, he's thinking about whether he wants to numerically avoid that.
That 7.
Yeah, I think they're having a conversation. He's mathing the maths, if you will. This is a
Yeah, we
challenging
have
situation.
moved on here, but I also think it's a little bit of a situation where I think if Phil doesn't want to let him do it, technically, I think Phil's in the right now to say you made the call, you played the
Yeah,
card, you put it in your discard pile. Like, um, when we're starting to get there's decent prizes. I think this tournament's got 4 figures on the line. But Phil's gonna be a gentleman. Phil's gonna let him take it back and reconsider, which is very gentlemanly thing to do.
yeah.
All right, so now Ty's thinking about it. And I think Ty's like, I don't know, I still might block it.
I think Ty
Well,
realized that he might need to throw this activator or whatever is in his hand offensively. And so he might be inclined to defend with that if he has one final defense option and then punt the turn, knowing that he has the avoid placed.
I think you want look. I don't know what's in Ty's hand,
Yeah,
but if it's even 3 venture, I think the play is you get rid of 7.
I
You're
agree.
basically up 5. That card in that hand can't be a kill shot unless if it's 10 or under, it can't be a kill shot. So let's see. Had he blocked it, he throws the 3, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14. He
So
would have
interesting.
tied he would have tied the venture there and still been in the middle. Yeah, I think he just overthought that. I think he should the best Phil had the best thing he could have had, which is an 8. And the best thing he could have had was just a tie. I think he wanted to go into that battle as a tie. So,
Yeah,
but we're still
I,
going here. So we got one more hand.
I really think he might have been worried about losing the venture and the game on Scarlet Witch getting killed. But I don't like this position he's in now because unless he can bet for the win and outpace Phil, Scarlet Witch is one hit to KO and she's a 7
Yeah,
ranker.
the first 8 that he draws, he's gonna throw it first. The numerical's gonna get used, and then he pretty much will
That's it.
not be in a position to win.
And now are they
Yeah,
both in power pack or I think maybe
Phil's definitely in power pack. I'm not sure. I mean, Ty discarded like 3 things, so he must be in power pack if all those 8s are going by again. And I think it's just, yeah, I really think that one play is gonna play too much into it. I think if he was tied here, um, there's only so much Phil could have gone.
right. Phil just goes 2. And again, I think it's because he has initiative and he can outpace Tyler here.
Well, this might be last hand.
Oh, you're right. It might be. But
I
we
think
don't
they
have
might just be doing the math here of it's like whoever wins this hand wins type of thing.
right. Now for the people watching in TV land, this doesn't take into account any, extra time awarded because of long judgments or anything like that. So we're not exactly sure if they're in last hand, but certainly this game is we're moving towards the end game of this exchange.
For
But
sure. And we're not, yeah, we believe this is the last hand. Oh, having to block up in power pack at this point is so brutal for him.
and Phil can just take that. I mean, he might not choose to, but if I were him, you just can outpace this now.
And the problem is the Scarlet Witch negate or the Scarlet Witch inherent doesn't win the game for him anymore.
No, it doesn't.
You can't let her die. You can't poke with a 1, let it hit, and then just let her die. You can't count on that -5 to put you above.
And that's probably why he defended that first shot. You're correct. At this point, he'll defend that. He'll probably throw what is that, a 1 for the kills? He's got the up block.
And I think that's all he's doing here is Ty can't run because it's last hand, so I think he's just gonna throw a kill shot now. I think you're
Right.
gonna see Ty pass, and he's gonna throw like a 7. A 3 over the 2.
That's it.
Oh, hold on. Is it it? Ty hit with a 5.
That doesn't kill her? What is that
No.
other? Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Oh my
Oh my
god.
god, so it was not last hand. Oh, I thought Ty had just pulled it out. This is exciting for us because we don't have a great way post game to know when it. That's a good thing, Dave. We should make a button that when it's last hand, they set it in the astral plane.
Yeah. Well, we've debated the idea. I'm a poker player, and I think overpower in many ways is a combination of poker.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Dave. Oh, sorry. Phil has an 8, a 7, and a 6. So he's got 4 dupes to Ty's 2, but Ty does not have a way to block the 8.
Yeah, I think I don't know if this is last hand yet, but this hand is a auto win for Phil. I don't know that Tyler can win any hand almost going forward, depending on
Well, you say that, but Ty, yeah, I guess
just
Ty's if Ty's
any
character
action
dies, he
Ty.
just loses. He's because he
Yeah,
can't
any
unless
action Scarlet Witch throws, Heroes for Hire can block with get in his hand, and he automatically throws the 8 for the kill.
well, right, but what if he does? We don't know that Phil. Do we know Phil has the 7? Oh yeah, we can see
Yeah,
the
because he
7.
duped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he duped it. So he has the 7-8. There's just not a way for Tyler to win this one. He'll bet 1. Phil should bet the farm, right?
Yep.
Oh, he only bet
Phil.
2. I think that's remarkably conservative now.
Well, I
This
think again we're probably back to yeah, that's true. Like Phil just should have bet everything.
No,
There's
he
if it
bets
was a cl-
everything because it's an automatic win. Now look,
yeah, they
it's these are better players than you and I, and we're watching this in, hindsight's 2020.
yeah,
But
we're not at the end of round 3. Like a
we're
lot of
not
times our
exhausted.
round 3s are getting late in the day and we eat a really late lunch. But
That's the
yeah, and that's it. The handshake goes out. Yeah. That was a great game. That was
it
just
was
both
this
Ty's deck played so well after Grunge left. I thought it was over.
I think
And
I
then
think the one mistake that Ty made, and it's not a mistake, is when you don't have your 8 rank backed up and you lose your 8 ranker and you're facing someone who has their backed up, you just can't make it to power pack. It's like as we users see for any new players, the strength of an 8 ranker head to head with a 7 ranker is actually what you would think of in the comics or in the lore, right? If someone with an 8, if Magneto's one-on-oneing, Cyclops, that's just a tough day at the office. You don't have that 8 to block the 8. And with Scarlet Witch painted, I think that was all she wrote.
God, that was a great round. Great game. Great game. All right, guys, we are going to see you in round 4. Everything is going great here in Valhalla, and we can't wait to see you in the next round. Thank you so much. Thank you, Phil and Ty, for a game that was an absolute pleasure to commentate on.
What a barn burner. What a great match. And hope you all enjoyed it.